Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's unbelievable packed panel for Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friends. And of course, I'm your host, Mr. Boomstick XL. And as you can see, yes, we have a stacked panel from top to bottom, a couple of new additions to the show. We also have someone, actually two people, guest appearing. We're going to start with him first. Wandering Dutch, first of all, dude, I know it's ultra late where you are, or early morning if you want to say.
Yeah, early morning.
Early morning, but you know what? You reached out to actually the community going back about a couple of weeks ago, and you kind of threw your, I guess you can say your podcasting fishing pole, and you got a lot of bites, and I'm happy to say that I'm one of them, and it's great to have you on today's show. Welcome, dude. How the heck have you been?
Oh, very good, very good. I've been very busy over the last week or so with this, all these conferences and things, and summarizing them all. So, just getting to the bottom of it all. Just had an interview yesterday, and that was a late one as well because that didn't start till 1 a.m. So the same time as now. So, yeah, that was with the developer for Song of Iron, which is one of the ones that stuck out for quite a few people. So it's quite a bit of info come off the back of that about his game. So it was quite interesting. But other than that, yeah, very late right now, 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm looking forward to getting starting.
Well, listen, it's great to have you, and obviously, even though it's late, it's going to be a great show, and hopefully you have had your Red Bull, your coffee, or whatever keeps you up, and he's ready to go.
Guinness.
Well, there you go, folks. Live on the air. He has his Guinness in hand, and he's ready to rock and roll. Next up, he was a late addition to the show, but one that I'm happy to say is now a part of tonight's program. Cotton McCast, what's up, dude?
What's going on? Thanks for having me. Even if I'm a late addition, always glad to be back on your show there, Boom. Nice to meet everybody here who I haven't met already. So, yeah, there's a lot of info that came out this past week, and I'm just excited to talk about it some more, get everyone's opinion on it.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. We're going to have a lot to talk about. And obviously, look, I'm going to say this before we even continue with the introductions. I know there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to be possibly concerned about exactly what we're going to be talking about. You see, unfortunately, when you have 3 live shows per week, you, at least for me, I have had the great ability to work with a ton of different podcasters and community members. I'm very blessed that way. And I'm thankful to say that everybody on tonight's panel has not really given their point of view regarding the show. So it's going to be a lot of new opinions. And, you know, you're going to hear some other stuff that I did not get a chance to talk about because obviously in the few shows that I did, there's only so much time. And of course, you know, the panel comes first before me. But you know what? You're going to get some really good information. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun from start to finish. Let's continue with, of course, the introductions. Next up, he's our resident GameStop know-it-all. As a matter of fact, his channel has exploded on the scene, and his podcasting and video making has been through the roof. Please welcome Gaming Forte.
Yo, what is up, man?
Are you tired yet, sir?
No. I took a break from videos after that crazy week that slow-mo put me through. So I took a little break, and plus my mom's was in town, so I only made one video last week, but jumped right back into it with a video today, and gonna be pushing them out throughout the rest of the week, man. But yeah, there is a lot of stuff to go over and a lot of myths to dispel because this community gets on my goddamn nerves.
You know, it's funny. You know, and I have it. You know what? I'm not even going to say it because I'm going to save it for when we get to that topic. I have to say I understand that some people were disappointed with certain things. I get it. Your opinion. I'm not going to challenge you on it. I would never dare. But there are some, unfortunately, in this community that live through agenda and push a narrative to simply get clicks on their sites and their channels and their Twitter accounts. And I'm going to say this, and I hope that, you know, again, I'm not picking on anybody in particular, but if that's you, you're pathetic. I'm going to say that right now, and you're just not a gamer. because you can walk away from any show loving it or hating it. But if you go out of your way to down a show, whether that be for Sony, for Nintendo, or for Xbox, for the simple fact that you're looking to be relevant within the community, man, I feel very sorry for you. But again, we're not going to bring this show down. We're going to rise above all the nonsense, and we're going to talk some absolute facts, and we're going to bring it 100% as always. Next up, you know him as someone that live on the air last Monday evening became a panel member, a permanent panel member. Please welcome middle-aged gamer guy, also known as Mag. What's up, dude?
Well, good evening, Boom. Good evening, chat. And a special good evening to this fine panel of gaming gurus. Yes, I am the middle-aged game guy, and better known on these days as the Mag on these mean Twitter and YouTube streets. I will not hold you guys up any longer because we have got a lot to talk about, so let's get to it.
Yes, well, listen, thanks.
Radio voice in here. That's
yeah, he definitely does have radio. People say I have a voice, but
News at 11.
Yeah, he actually has a better voice than me, I think. But next up, you know him as our resident Cape Crusader, someone that has been patrolling the Twitter and YouTube streets the last couple of days, keeping the J Injustice going. Please welcome Cybernox.
What's up, Boom? Man, you did it to me again. How you going to introduce me after that voice? You can't do that to me, man. No, I'm just kidding. What's going on, chat? What's going on, panel? Wandering Dutch. Glad to be podcasting with you, brother. Cotton, welcome back, man. Took a break from ESPN de Ocho. I hear you.
Nice.
Panel, what's going on? Glad to be here. And yeah, it's awesome to be an Xbox Game Pass subscriber. So yeah, let's get on with the show.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think it's a great time to be an Xbox gamer. But I think that what more now than ever, especially in the world that it is, Microsoft has our back as consumers, and they went out of their way to produce a show that let you know that next generation is going to cost you only a new console, and if you can't upgrade, they have a way for you to do that where it's only going to cost you $35 or $40 a month. And like I said, the old saying is hashtag options are good. Microsoft has given us more options than any other publisher / developer has in the past, and next generation is going to start off with a bang. But last, in no way least, still floating and being circled by the sharks on his edible slice of pizza / calzone. Please welcome Clowns. What's going on, dude?
Hey, what's going on, man? Always a pleasure being here in Primetime Gaming with this awesome panel that you put together, Boom. First time with Wandering Dutch and Cotton and middle-aged gamer guy and returners, Cybernox and Game of Forte.
Well, it's great to have you a part of the Today Show. We were on the edge because obviously Florida is not doing too well when it comes to a lot of things right now, and you had some issues with the power. A lot of people have. That's one of the reasons why our very good friend Tempest Son is not here, because he lost power, and you can't stay with a newborn in a house that's 90 degrees. So we wish him and his family well, and he will be back in his seat next week as always. But you know what? Let's open up the show with what happened last Thursday. And look, I'm going to say this. This show had the entire community for weeks very excited. We knew Halo Infinite was going to be there. We all had a feeling that Fable was either going to open or close the show. We had a feeling we'd see Forza Motorsport 8 in some fashion. And there were a lot of surprises. There were a lot of games here that we did not expect to see, and they showed us. And I walked away with it, giving it a B+, which is an 85 out of 100. I thought it was a strong show. I gave Sony's showing in June the exact same score. But you know what? Microsoft did something that they have been criticized numerous times on numerous shows, and that was showing games. And we got a chance to see Halo Infinite. I've watched the footage 6 times. Now, folks, listen, I get it. And I want to get this out of the way because this is going to be, we're going to come back to Halo at some point at the second part of the show with the second topic. But I walked away impressed. I understand there was some popping. I understand that some of the NPC characters, the models didn't look good. But I have to say, if this is what you're basing your hate of the entire show on, I have to say that I don't get it. Again, your opinion, I'm not going to challenge it. I would never dare. But I got to ask, where's the motivation? Simply because Halo went from a corridor-based, very tight narrative, small space firefights to this ginormous open world where now you have different abilities. You have a grappling hook. You can pick things up. You can throw things. I really dug the art style. I thought it was a different take, and that's the thing that kind of annoys me a little bit, because the community at large who actually plays Halo enjoys Halo, and even through different stylizations. The naysayers who just want to pick on Xbox and make trouble and just I guess ignite the fires just to do it, will say, well, Halo needs to change. It can't be the same Halo. We're just tired of Halo, Gears, Forza. Halo changes. They make it an open world game, and all of a sudden, it's a problem. I don't know what's going to be good. I know that I'm going to be playing it. I can't wait. But listen, I broke this story. I broke the topics down into bullet points. I've spoken enough, and this panel has not even got a chance to speak anything. We're 11 minutes in. We got to fix that. First of all, the first bullet point of tonight's show is going to be biggest surprise of the show per panel member, and because Wandering Dutch, you're here, you're our guest. For you personally, what was the big surprise of the show?
So I had a few big surprises, to be honest. I did not expect to see State of Decay 3 at all.
Me either.
That completely, I was watching that video and that just didn't seem like State of Decay.
My man.
The way it was shown off at all just did not come across like State of Decay. So as soon as that popped up, I was like, nah, that can't be. It can't be. And then obviously you seen the logo pop up and I was like, well, I did not expect that so soon, especially so soon after the massive Juggernaut patch on number 2.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think quite a few things that took me by surprise were, I think the kind of the more in-depth look at the Crossfire gameplay by Remedy. That
Crossfire X looks fantastic.
I mean, that's fire.
Yeah,
looks really good, really good. Stalker, I've never played Stalker 1, so I can't comment on Stalker 2, but it does look interesting. But then the Medium, that's right up my street. I think the design, that you can see straight away why you couldn't do that on a modern console right now. You can only do that on next gen. You can't seamlessly stream 2 worlds at the same time in any console. I don't care what you're doing. That's far too much information to take on. I think that's another showing of what next gen can really do, and that's got me intrigued as well, especially with the Silent Hill composer in there. That kind of puts the icing on the cake.
I mean, those are good picks, and all surprising. Like I said, the Medium is going to be a big game, and you know what's even more exciting about that is that could probably be a launch title, because they're calling for that for 2020, and it would be pretty epic if that is one of the titles that is launching as an exclusive. Now, whether that's a time exclusive for a year or 10 years, I don't care. All I know is that it's going to be a launch title, and it's going to look amazing, and I cannot wait to play it, because obviously one of my favorite games from the 360 past has always been Alan Wake. And even though we may not ever get an Alan Wake 3 or a proper 2, if you will, this gave me serious Alan Wake vibes. Yeah. And I honestly cannot wait to jump into it. So let's get to Cotton. Cotton, for you personally, my brother, what was the big surprise, or at least one of your biggest surprises for the show?
Yeah, Dutch wandered right into my mind there. That's exactly what I was thinking, honestly, just touching on Medium and the composer from Silent Hill. That was a big surprise because it sounded like it, and then I looked into it and I was like, okay, it had my attention. Now it's fully holds my attention. I can't wait to play that game. It does look really next gen, but the biggest surprise for me just watching the show was definitely State of Decay 3. I know we didn't get any gameplay details, but just the environment and the fidelity, even if it was just a cinematic, was amazing. And showing off the undead animals for the first time, I just want to get into this world. I mean, it looks like they're getting a full full-on AAA like budget for this one. I know they said 2 was pretty much AAA, but this looks like to be on a whole nother level. So I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, it's clear that Microsoft money behind a project makes a different project than when you're trying to self-publish like they were before they were picked up. And listen, I enjoyed State of Decay 2. Sure, it had its issues, no doubt of it, but I put over 60 hours into that. I quite enjoyed it, but I like the look. I don't know if the game is going to be like this, but it would be pretty epic if it was, and there's a good chance that it might be, because obviously it's going to be for Series X only, and it's going to be an exclusive, and it's going to be a big one for sure. Gaming.
I'm really wondering on State of Decay 3 on that topic. There is whether or not they're going to slightly reinvent the State of Decay 3.
They might. Yeah.
With the way that they showed that off there, it wasn't so much kind of looking at parties, but looking at one person trying to survive.
I mean, listen, I've said this from the beginning, and many podcasts before. State of Decay 1 and 2 are great survival games. One of my biggest gripes is that, yes, if you want to, I always thought there should be 2 modes. I always thought that there should be a single player campaign built in that was organic, and it still retained some of the life-saving elements of collecting things and finding, resources. But I wish it was 2 games. I wish it was a resource management game with your buddies, and I wish it was a single player campaign. This looks like they may have brought my biggest wish true, and we could potentially get a story being told about a singular character. That, you know what I'm saying? It's complete speculation. We don't know. Gaming Forte. I want to bring you into the conversation, my brother, because we obviously we didn't get a chance to talk after the show. Everyone is busy trying to make videos and stuff. I'm interested to know, for you personally, what was one of your biggest surprises?
Well, the biggest surprise for me was honestly the median. That blew me away. I was already interested in it when I saw it at the May event, but they basically just showed very little at that event. When I started seeing actual gameplay, I already knew about the realities and splitting, and I wanted to know why this game could only run at 30 frames per second on the system. I still don't agree with it, because I feel like every game should run at 60 frames per second, but I understand that they're renting 2 different worlds, and just seeing that gameplay really got me more interested in that game than I was interested before. And then the fact that they actually put that almost 4-minute developer diary video out after the fact and got a chance to see that in 4K got me even more excited for that game. Knowing that that's going to be in Game Pass is going to be something that I'm super excited for. But the biggest thing that really you already know the biggest thing that excited me outside of just everything else there. The fact that Bungie came on that stage, it was like all DLC going to be on Destiny, instantly shut the whole thing down. It literally gave Xbox Showcase 1 extra point for me just because of that one reveal. But the median outside of just Destiny was the one thing that surprised me the most. Outside of that, everything else was pretty much what I thought it was going to be, what they were going to show and everything. If I was to go, the most shocking thing probably from the pre-show was the fact that we're getting Dragon Quest 11.
That's a big one.
I played that thing on Switch. I played it on PS4. The fact that we're getting Dragon Quest 11S Echoes, the definitive edition on Xbox Game Pass, basically for free if you have the service, is pretty incredible. And it's letting you know that all those conversations that Phil Spencer's been having across seas in the land of the rising sun is definitely paying off for Xbox when it comes to those games. And even if that game isn't for you, it brings people into the ecosystem that never even thought about buying an Xbox, because all those games were typically just tied to PlayStation platforms or Nintendo platforms. So now that that's coming over, that was probably my second biggest surprise, and that was in the pre-show. So those are the 2 that I really stand out the most with me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to say this again. We're not talking about it tonight because I'm doing, I've got some feelers out there. There are a lot of suggestions going on that right now the Bungie Microsoft connection is something more than just one developer working with one publisher. And I don't know exactly what's going on, but it would be pretty epic if somebody's clicking in the background. I'm not sure who's using a mouse. Oh, sorry about that. All right, no problem. Somebody, I'll say this: we have heard rumblings. There are whispers in the in the community where some people are suggesting that there could be a return of Bungie becoming a first-party studio for Microsoft. Now, obviously,
Bungie's going back home. Is that what you're saying?
well,
bro?
that's what people.
in the guest house right now.
I dream.
They are in the guest house, and quite again, we have to look at it from again, not a topic for tonight. I'm going to completely move on in a second because I want to continue with it. We're going to be talking about this either on Thursday. I'm going to see if I can work it into the show, or on Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom, because there are some serious talks going on where, remember, this is not the same Microsoft. This is a Phil Spencer run Microsoft, and the running narrative for anyone that's picked up by Microsoft as a first party is do whatever you want, go crazy. And we know that they're working on another project that's outside of Destiny. It would be pretty incredible if that somehow their next project was given the green light and the monies to do it. It again, not a topic for tonight, but certainly worthy of just a mention.
Well, I'll give you one piece of news because being a person that's entrenched in that community and actually talked about this for multiple months, that this was a thing that could happen. This all started when Bungie separated from Activision.
Yes.
And the first thing you saw was Phil Spencer tweet out, he said, "Congratulations for my favorite developer becoming independent. I can't wait to work with them on my favorite franchise more closely." When he said work with, he didn't say, he didn't say just congratulations and all that other stuff. He said, "I can't wait to work with them." Those are key words. And that stuff came out literally seconds after he put out that tweet saying that they were separating away from Activision. So, and then so did Tim Sweetie from Epic said the same thing. So think about it. We're talking about crossplay sometime next year. Which companies are the ones that play the most nice when it comes to crossplay? Epic and Microsoft. They were the first ones to do it in Fortnite, complete across the board with Nintendo. And the fact that Bungie did announce that crossplay would be coming to all systems next year. There's a lot of things that's coming from that, but I just think that all the DLC being in Game Pass is pretty incredible. And it's just the simple fact that Bungie works the best when they have a backer. When somebody that can throw a little money their way. The fact that Microsoft has all of these extra studios that can definitely be assistance to help Bungie build out content throughout a year. It's just a match made in heaven. And if Microsoft does what they're supposed to do and they keep up this goodwill that developers are talking about, letting them build the games that they want to build, don't be surprised if Bungie does get wind over and they say, "Hey, let's tie this back up and let's become first party again." But only time will tell.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, worthy of a conversation, at least a suggestion for sure. Cybernox, let's bring you back into the conversation. For you personally, you got a chance to talk about this on your own podcast you did with a few people, but I didn't get a chance to listen to it because obviously everyone is just really busy. What for you was the biggest surprise? What completely knocked your socks off at this show?
If we're talking surprise, Wondering Dutch and Cotton probably hacked my phone and looked at all my notes because I'm a big State of Decay for the first game and the second game. I love that world. I love the co-op element that they introduced into the survival aspect came in right around the time where I was a big fan of The Walking Dead, the TV show as well. So I was like right in that world. So I was not expecting anything State of Decay on the show, and then for the trailer to be introduced in such a tone, and then right after Halo, I was just like, what is going on here? I had no idea. So I was amazed, man. That surprised me a lot. And Crossfire X was my next big surprise because I was part of the multiplayer beta, and I did not enjoy the multiplayer at all. I did not enjoy it. So I was ready to be one and done with that game. And the campaign grabbed me back in. It looked good. It was introducing a lot of different elements, and it just looked already extremely polished. Remedy, I liked some of the stories that Remedy has told throughout all of their games.
Yep.
So yeah, man, I was a bit that was one of the other surprises for me. So State of Decay 3 and Crossfire X were my two biggest surprises of the game.
What
Nice.
The showcase.
Yeah, while you're on that about the game from oh my god, I just kicked Crossfire.
Yeah.
We know that's in Game Pass when it comes to the multiplayer, but it's like up in the air. Is the campaign gonna be in there?
No, it's gonna be so exciting. It said it during the event. If you look at the fine print, it is not included in Game Pass.
Okay,
Yeah, multiplayer only in Game Pass.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking, because I kept hearing people saying like, "Oh, it's gonna be everything." I said, "No, I think it's just the multiplayer." So that's good.
Well, they did say that, right? They were like, everything you're about to see, but that one had a little bit of a disclaimer at the bottom because the multiplayer is on Game Pass, but I guess the single player.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Single player is going to be, you're going to have to buy it. But listen, if it's anything like, and it looked a lot like Call of Duty, it really did. It's a new game. It's a new IP. It's an old IP with a new single player campaign. Never ever existed. That story is being told by Remedy, who just got done with Control in their DLC, and obviously we know what they've done in the past.
These guys have flying suits coming off. Did you see his armor when he puts the invisibility camo on? I was just like, man, they're doing so much.
If it didn't have the crossfire thing at the bottom, I could have sworn that was going to be Crisis.
Oh
yeah, me too.
Right?
I thought that when I first started seeing. Yeah, that's actually a great point, Dutch.
I was also one more thing. I was just also surprised by Destiny coming to Game Pass with all the expansions and also Beyond Light. That was big.
Ooh, that's big, bro.
Yeah,
that's big.
Well,
I got back into Destiny.
$40 expansion. You don't have to buy if you have Game Pass. That's a big deal. Let's bring a middle-aged gamer guy. Listen, we didn't get a chance to talk, obviously, after the show. Again, everyone is just, reeling in the excitement of what happened. For you personally, what was the biggest surprise for you, dude?
Well, the biggest surprise for me, let me give you my honorable mentions first. My honorable mentions were the Crossfire X campaign, because I'm not going to lie to you guys, I completely forgot all about it. And then when it came out, I'm like, what is this? And then I'm watching. I'm like, oh my God, that's right. That Remedy's going to be doing this. Yeah, so I completely forgot about that. The other thing is State of Decay 3. That's another honorable mention for me. And I don't think that was just really an announcement. In my personal opinion, the way that I interpreted that little trailer is that was more of a statement. I think that was a statement of, hey guys, we're pumping some serious money into this. That's the way I read it. That's the way it came across to me the first time I sat down and watched it, and even the second time I watched the show. Same thing. Like you see, like even when she walked across the bridge and that the water, it had the water animations were absolutely stellar. And I'm like, wow, okay. So that's where I just looked at that as a statement. Now, let me get to the meat and potatoes here. The surprise of the show for me was an unusual one. It actually was one that actually made me put my pen down when I was taking notes. It was Grounded. I know I know that sounds great. I know that sounds nuts.
No, man,
it looked good, man.
But I was like, the first time I watched it, I'm like, wow. And then the second time I watched it, I actually put the pen down and I said, wait a minute. I was absolutely amazed by the polish, the seeming depth of this game, the mechanics of gameplay. I was not expecting, by the way, the building mechanics, like that sort of Minecraft, Fortnite, maybe closer to Minecraft kind of vibe. The world building, the cooperation required, the graphics were stunning. And on top of this, let's be honest here, the clear fact that Microsoft not only allowed them to tackle this passion project, but evidently they gave them the funds to elevate this game to heights it never would have gotten without them. That's what I saw. And that to me was the sort of unorthodox surprise of the show for me.
I've had the chance myself to play that at XO19 before.
Oh, how was it? I mean, really, I gotta wait till tomorrow, but
really good. But at nighttime, it's like just absolutely ridiculous because everything starts getting wild.
Yeah, that's so true. The nighttime is scary.
What, kind of like a Dying Light situation, but with ants?
Yeah, and spiders and everything else.
Yeah, the thing that got me the most about that, and shout out to Slow Mo for making that video in the next week about Grounded. Looking forward to it. But
Glad you made that happen.
yeah, we made that happen. But the thing that really got me about that was, I think they listened to the community when it came to Grounded. Like a lot of people said, "Oh my God, Grounded! Who? That's like Xbox, PlayStation's version of Bugsnax. Who really cares about it?" The fact that they came out and made fun of it, kind of, because I wasn't even paying attention to it. I saw Grounded on the screen. I was like, okay, I already seen this. And then when they said, you want to play the biggest game that's coming out this generation, and they was like, then you might want to, when you go ahead and get Cyberpunk 2077. I looked up on the screen. I was like, what is this? And I started paying more attention to it. So they made fun of it. And it made you kind of draw attention to the fact that, when anybody says Cyberpunk 2077, everybody pays attention. So as soon as they said that, that's when they flipped everything over and started showing the building aspect and stuff that people didn't even know was in the game. So I think they strategically really got people to pay attention by making fun of themselves. And I
made fun of themselves like several times. It was like multiple layers.
Very
so
cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
The second part of that was it was like all of the games
that Obsidian. Yeah.
Nothing like we've ever made. It's got nothing to do with
right, exactly. So,
in a game that Obsidian has no business of making. So,
that's right. Yeah, that was a good little one. Yeah.
Turn right around and show you another game that everybody was like, whoa.
You know what it is? I think that, this game is going to surprise a lot of people. I think that because it's Obsidian, there's going to be a significant amount of quality behind it. It doesn't matter the size of the team, whether there's 300 people working or 30 people working on this game. And I think that what you're going to get, the crowds that you're going to invoke potentially onto the Xbox because of this exclusive, of course, if they have a PC that they can play there. But for the most part, if you don't have an Xbox and you are like a Survival Arc fan, that's going to bring people over to this. If you are, let's say, for instance, a Minecraft fan, because it's going to have the building elements and because it's, that you're using kids, this could bring that crowd. This is going to attract a very, very wide player base. And this is a game that no one gave a shit about. No one is caring about, but I think it's going to be a sleeper hit of this year. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Have a look at Sea of Thieves. Have a look at Sea of Thieves as a prime example. Example.
No, that's a great point because obviously,
over 15. Sorry,
it's okay. Well, the Sea of Thieves launched. It didn't have a lot of content, but Rare kept grinding away and making it into something. And as we've seen in the last 6 or 8 weeks, it is in the top 10 for Steam. You don't do that by sucking. You know what I'm saying? I understand Sea of Thieves is, no one cares about it. Well, apparently somebody cares about it because it's doing well, not only on the Xbox, but it's doing well on the PC. People are playing it because, being a pirate is cool. And the way that they have supported this game proves to me that there is something there. And I believe Grounded is going to be there as well. So, Clowns, let's close out this particular bullet point for you. What was your personal biggest surprise of this event last Thursday?
My biggest surprise from this event last Thursday, I would have to say, is State of Decay 3.
My man, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, see, I believe that because I didn't expect State of Decay 3, right? I didn't expect it at all. And that, even though it may have been just a CGI trailer, the way that they did it is like almost telling me that State of Decay 3 is going to be different than the last two.
That's a good point.
So I'm very hyped for what I saw, and I can't wait till this game actually comes out. And I want them to take their time and make it a great game. Like I don't care if it comes out in 2022 or 2023. As long as it does eventually come out, I'm going to be hyped for this. And the other thing that blew me away was that every single game that we saw is going to be in Game Pass. And that game, Tell Me Why and Medium, blew my mind. Like those two games look fantastic, but the icing on the cake for me, the big icing on the cake, you ready for this? Is I had a feeling it was going to be there, but everybody kept saying, Clowns, it's not going to be there. It's not going to be there, Clowns. It's not going to be there. Fable will not be there. And guess what? It was there, boom. Fable was there. And I am so hyped for this. It looks so mature.
Hell yeah.
Well, listen, look, Fable shocked a lot of people. We kind of knew it was going to be there. There are a couple of again, we're going to talk about we're going to get into some details regarding some of the shenanigans, and actually saying that for, of course, Gaming Goon on Twitter said he was hoping I would say that's right. We're going to be talking about the shenanigans that went on during the all of the talk with Halo and Fable afterwards, and of course the false narratives that have just completely attempted to ruin all the fun the Xbox community was having. But again, we're going to move on to the second bullet point. And actually, what I want to do is, we started with our biggest surprise. And what I want to do is I want to start with what we felt was not there that we're disappointed about, because it's easy to talk about what excited us, right? It's easy to say this, that, and the third. There were a lot of games to really, wet our whistle, so to speak. A lot of games shown, a lot of excitement. Wandering Dutch, for you personally, what was one of your so-called, quote unquote, disappointments that were not at the show that you were hoping that you'd see there?
Oh, that's an easy one. Because it got me really wound up in the middle of the show as well. When they brought on Ninja Theory.
Okay.
And then nothing happened.
Yeah.
Why? I was so ready to see more. Of that game, and then to come on, bring a developer on who's clearly had nothing to talk about. Unfortunately, he talks about we've got a video diary of us in Iceland talking about the development process. Go and watch it on YouTube. That's non-news. I mean, I feel sorry for the developer more than anything else. It's that guy's going to get a lot of flack for a decision that was beyond his control. I don't think Microsoft should have really put him on stage. I think personally, I wouldn't have included him in the show and just had him as one of the ones that is going to be in August. I really so ready to see, especially when they said Ninja Theory brought him on stage. I was ready to see more of Hellblade 2. That game looked absolutely phenomenal, considering it was the first thing that was shown off for Series X. The first game to be announced for it, and then nothing, absolutely nothing. That was a big disappointment for me.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. That's one of my points of contention regarding letdowns. I think that entire segment should have been pulled. If you again, people wanted gameplay. If it's not ready, I hear you. I absolutely hear you. You don't want to put anything out that's rushed. Obviously, look what happened to Halo. You had some popping. Again, folks, I understand it was there, but that didn't ruin my excitement for it. But if you would have had a new trailer of something, something different, it would have served the game and the event much better. I heard a lot of people say that the Dragon Quest announcement should have been in there instead of the Ninja Theory thing. And I get it. It was meant to, because it's first party and everyone's excited to play Senua's Saga, and we all are, and we know it's going to look amazing. That particular piece had no business being there, especially when we were seeing just regurgitated footage. So that's a strong pick. Let's go to Cybernox on this one. For you, obviously, we know what your excitement was, but what was not there that you were expecting to be there?
You guys should know this by now. Batman, man. Where's my Batman game? Come on, guys. Damn. I was really hoping that we were going to get something out of WB Montreal, but nope, we didn't get anything. But I was also a little disappointed that we didn't get as much gameplay as I thought we were going to get. I mean, Halo had a significant chunk. The Gunk we saw a little bit of gameplay, and the Medium, obviously. But all the other games are more trailers, which I don't mind. We've been asking a lot from Microsoft to show us games in the future, and they've certainly done that. But I thought that for some of these games, we were going to get maybe a tiny little bit more of gameplay. But besides that, besides not getting Batman, I knew that they were they mentioned that the initiative game wasn't going to be there. They did show Fable, Halo, what we were expecting. And I was quite surprised. I really enjoyed the show. So not really much missing from my end.
Okay, I mean that's a good pick. I mean, obviously, it's you enjoyed the show, and that's great. For me personally, one of the other slow parts. It dragged a little bit. Again, this could have been done on Xbox Wire. I didn't think it needed to be there. Was the Ori 2 running at 120 frames per second? Again,
some of those things that they announced in the middle of it, the Ori 2 announcement, I think the Outer Worlds DLC announcement could have been something elsewhere. They did have a couple of slow segments in the middle there that maybe they could have substituted, like that game Exomecha, what was that they showed on the pre-show? That game was amazing. Exomecha. So they could have put that on the main show. I would have enjoyed that. But one thing that I couldn't clarify, are the games shown on the pre-show also going to Game Pass or no?
Yes, other than Watch Dogs. Other than Watch Dogs.
Oh, we're good. They should have definitely shown Exomecha then at the main show. What are they doing? And substituted some of those other slow moments like we were saying. But yeah, man, not getting a Batman game, obviously. Hints of Perfect Dark coming, but that's the initiative. So
they already, but I wasn't too concerned about that because they already said that wasn't.
They said they were gonna show right. So yeah, man, I was overall happy with the show. So
okay, I mean those are good picks. Gaming Forte for you personally. What was there something missing from this show that you thought or you heard was going to be there?
No, well, there was nothing missing that I heard that should have been there that wasn't there. For me, I had come from a different standpoint. I feel like Microsoft and Xbox is coming from they're not in the strength of power right now. They're not in that place. I just felt like I understand that Sony's coming out supposedly in August with their own reveal and everything. I just feel like Xbox is in a place where they just need to show as much as they can show and not worry about what Sony is doing on their end. I think their games are going to speak for themselves. When they're ready to show them, they're ready to show them. Now, if it's being true that they held the Initiatives game just because of something like that, I kind of hated that they were doing that because I felt like you owe it to your fans that kind of supported you over the course of this whole entire generation to like not make them wait to see the content that you're actually putting out just because you want to go in this back and forth fight with Sony. And I get the fight because, price means everything and everybody wants to be, they want to have the last word and, convincing their player bases to come and join their system and stuff. I just feel like Microsoft just should believe more in the product that they're putting on the field. And they should have just showed as much as they possibly could. Like everything should have been there. But outside of that, I really wasn't disappointed in anything that they didn't have there. I just wish they actually showed up with more. We did get 9 of the 15 studios showing games. I think the one thing that really disappointed me the most is just the fact that Ninja Theory showed up and just gave us a documentary where we're going to see a video on the outset. I didn't expect to see that game there. So when I saw Ninja Theory when they came on the screen, I was like, oh, we're going to get some new stuff on Ninja Theory. And maybe Hellblade. And when they just said what they said, I was like, yeah, man, this could have been something that was said in the pre-show and, stuff like that. But outside of that, just the miss there, everything else was perfectly fine. I just wish they would have showed a little bit more of the stuff that they did show.
Okay. I mean, that's good. That's a strong piece. Let me catch up with some of the super chats before I get to middle-aged gamer guy. We have Nightwolf 3186, a friend of the show, very generous friend of the show. He drops a $5 super chat says, hey guys, just dropping by from the beach. Good on you. He says we'll be watching later. Love the new additions. Oh, thanks, dude. Super appreciate it.
Switch to the beach with you because that's the perfect system for the beach.
That certainly is. Don't get it wet because otherwise it's gonna die.
Sir, it's a bit late for the beach, yeah.
Sir X-Man drops an outstanding $2 super chat says, hey boom, have a great show. Well, thank you so much for that, dude. Let's see what else I'm doing over here. See what have I missed anything? Okay, I'm sorry. And this chat is going super, super fast. If I missed you, okay. We have K Asante dropping an outstanding $5 super chat. Says the gunk looked damn good, and Grounded is better than most know. Played the demo; it's unusually good. Yeah, again, we talked about it before. The gunk looks interesting. It definitely looks like a quirky game. Going into Game Pass, you don't have to buy it. If you like it, I mean, again, I've always said this, that we need more platformers on these consoles for sure. And the the Wonder Gaming that drops an outstanding $2 super chat. Says, first time I'm going into the next generation 100% with games. Yeah, see, that's the thing, man. When you bring this Series X home, if you are a Game Pass subscriber, you are going to be loaded to the gills when it comes to games, and that is awesome. Middle-aged gamer guy, for you personally, was there something missing from the show that you wish Microsoft would have added and taken something else out in its place?
Yes. Before I give my pick, I just want to echo Dutch's sentiments there about Ninja Theory. If you put a trailer out in December and then you got nothing to show in July, I think it would have been better in the nicest way possible. I'm just going to say it would have been better to just not show up at all.
I agree. Yeah.
So we'll just leave that there. The other one that kind of made me a little bit sad, because maybe it was a little bit hopeful thinking, wishful thinking on my part, would be Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
We know that Phil, he's been jumping on that. Well, not now, but I mean, he was jumping on the plane back and forth to Japan, and he was working out some things which turned out to be with Sega. That was a whole different situation. But I don't know. You know what? My pick that really disappointed me was Compulsion Games.
Yep.
Compulsion Games teases me on the Iron Lords podcast 5 months ago, or whatever it was, and says, our game is going to be a mix of BioShock meets Uncharted. Come on, man. And then you don't that kept me up that night. And I'm like, BioShock meets Uncharted. I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? I'm like, what is this? What are they doing over there? How much money did Phil dump on their door? And I'm like, whatever they're working on over there, I'm intrigued. And the good thing about Compulsion, they're young, they're small, and they're hungry. Yeah. And I think I said it on the last podcast. Compulsion Games is the kind of studio that you throw enough money at it and you bring in some more people and support staff, and that they could become the next Naughty Dog. They could become the next Sony Santa Monica. They could become the next 343 Studios. You know what I'm saying? So I was super pumped to see what Compulsion was going to bring to the table, because I'm like, all right, this sounds great. Let's get rolling, boys. And nothing. So that was my only disappointment of the show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was hoping that was going to be there. We thought it was going to be there. I don't know if they're holding that for August. I know that, obviously you saw I got a chance to sit down with Major Nelson. I got talking with 20 minutes.
Awesome
show, by the way, Boom.
Oh, thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Yeah, it was pretty epic. I was working with Microsoft behind the scenes for a couple of months. Couldn't say anything. I was dying inside, not to spoil it, but you can't break those NDAs, and of course. If you do, you never work with them again. So hopefully, the collaborations will be coming sooner than later. Once again, with Microsoft in the future. But it was a fantastic interview, and what he said during the interview was that they were going to be. We were going to be seeing much sooner than later a lot of the games of the developers that were not there. So I'm thinking, I mean, he didn't say it, but I mean, we can all just assume that he might have been mentioning that we could be seeing this at the August event. That's unannounced. It's not officially announced by Microsoft, but we know it's coming. I mean, they're going to counter Sony, and now whether that it's supposedly going to be the services and hardware. So I mean, I'm assuming that's where we're going to get Lockhart. And you don't know, some of these games may be seriously graphically intense. Maybe they're holding these games to show them during this event, to show the power of the Series X. Who the heck knows? Only time is going to tell. But that's a good pick for me personally, and I'll throw this out there because I don't think I've mentioned it publicly. There are two that weren't there that I was disappointed. We had really good intel that Ninja Gaiden was going to be there. Again, I don't know if that was held. We have heard that they have, and I've heard this as much as last year, that they were working with that Team Ninja to either on a reboot. Full reboot or an like a Resident Evil 2, kind of situation where they take the original and they just redo it. And I'm okay with either or. If we get a brand new Ninja Gaiden that they reboot the franchise, which is great because the last two were just abominations. 3 was terrible. Even when they changed they sent it back out for the I think it was the Wii U, and it released again on the Xbox One. It still wasn't good, and they had some zombie one that came out afterwards that was
never even played that one. Yeah,
but I didn't either. It was awful. First of all, Cotton, you're here, brother. Well, for you, what was your big miss from Microsoft? What didn't they bring to the table on last Thursday?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo you. Ninja Gaiden was man. I think even on your predictions, the pre-show show that you had the day before, that was something I was really championing. I wanted to see was Ninja Gaiden, coming off a high from Tsushima. I just want more. Plus, I love Ninja Gaiden Black, dude. It was one of my favorites, one of my OG favorites from the original Xbox. That was definitely one I was hoping to see. Personally, the biggest one is probably not a popular opinion, but I was hoping to see, like, after they showed Ori and the smaller sort of announcements, I wanted to see some Cuphead, the delicious last course, just because I'm a huge fan of Cuphead. And I just love the style. I love that type of game. I love all the hard work. The art in that game is amazing. Haven't seen anything on it at all since they've
definitely gone running silent on that one.
Yeah, I've been very quiet other than when they originally showed it off. And I know more recently they talked about that show they're working on alongside Netflix, which is also something I'm really excited for. I wanted to see something on that. I was disappointed in that. I was disappointed no Ninja Gaiden, and I was also hoping to see a little bit of an Exile there. I know that was far off, but I had my hopes high. I mean, I loved the show overall, but I was dreaming big. I wanted Batman as well.
A lot of people did. You know, the two games that weren't there were surprising. Call of Duty was expected to be there.
Yeah, that too.
And Batman. And I don't know what's going on with both of the developers and both of the games, but it is questionable because at this point, next week, we're going into August over the weekend.
I know.
And we still don't know what either of those games look like. We don't know if they're getting them in 2020. So, folks, listen, I'm not trying to make excuses. If you did not like the Microsoft show, I hear you. I'm not going to challenge you on it, like I said in the opening. But we also have to take into account, and again, this is where I get into the frustration of this community at times. The overarching demand that this community as a whole is, I like to call it the entitled community. Folks, we are dealing with a pandemic still. Okay, we thought we were beating this thing down, and of course, everyone started to act like assholes and not wear masks and go to bars and party up the place, and everyone's getting sick again. So every it's the 15 steps that we took to get where we were prior to everyone acting like an ass, we have now taken 45 steps back, and everything that you were hoping for the fall, if it was in development post pandemic, it's probably not coming out because the world is the world.
I think I think for a lot of people, like you said, that those games were kind of surprising that they didn't make it because we still don't know like where the marketing deals for those are, and we don't know what they look like, especially with Call of Duty, because it's been Call of Duty.
That's
usually
about
does
to say May. Call of Duty. Yep.
You know, May is Call of Duty month, and they haven't done anything for that yet. But it kind of like this is where, you know, paying attention to the stuff that's going on in the world and the stuff that these developers and these publishers say takes a meaning and stuff. For me, as soon as all I saw was Game Pass stuff at this thing, and they basically said that everything you see here is Game Pass, I kind of instantly was like, okay, so we're not going to see those bigger games because I don't think Call of Duty is going to end up in Game Pass if something like that. So the fact that wasn't there kind of like just told me like, okay, so everything we're seeing here is stuff that I know I'll be playing in this service over the course of the next couple of years. If Call of Duty would have showed up there, it would have been great, but that's kind of unrealistic, you know, to think that was going to be a thing. But that doesn't mean that Microsoft at their next event, whenever they decide to show off they show off their next game when it comes to probably the initiative or something, that couldn't be there then. Because this seemed to be all about Game Pass, and I'm not mad about that. And I think that's the thing that people kind of need to take from the event. When they came out and said that everything you see here is in Game Pass, and shout out to Alana Pierce because she put out a video saying that exact thing. People just keep not thinking about that. They think about how bad the one thing they wanted to show there, but you're forgetting that literally everything you see at this show, if you have Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass in general, if you paid that $1 just to upgrade your subscription, you don't have to worry about it. All this stuff is there for you to play, and I think that's the thing that people keep missing on.
Yeah,
I think in general, I was going to say,
her video was amazing.
To echo Boom's sentiment, really, there, I kind of touched on it the other day on one of my videos. It was, in general, if you think about it in terms of the gaming community, it's been so spoiled over the last few years with the quality of the games that we've been receiving on all fronts. That's not just including Xbox, but PlayStation and Nintendo, and occasionally on PC, of course. But the vast majority is kind of middle ground. If you look back even 5-10 years, the jump in quality we've received in gaming in general across the board, whether that's by design or technical or graphically or sound, any of those combinations, the jump in quality we've had has been. There is no other industry in the world that has had that leap in quality, that leap in kind of consumer enjoyment that movies haven't, the airline industry hasn't, books haven't. Nothing's kind of changed that drastically as the PC, well, the gaming community as a whole, or any of the games that we've got. I think the community is extremely spoiled. So when a show like this comes, people behave kind of a bit ridiculous, and that's across the board. So Sony show exactly the same thing. You see the bit of hate.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not one for hate, to be honest. I like games as long as they're games and they're good games, regardless of the size of them, whether it be AAA or otherwise. As long as it's something you can enjoy, then enjoy it. I don't get the hate for knocking on things, and especially games that go into Game Pass. Putting games down that are a AA or indie. Why? Some of the best games that have ever been created have been indie games.
Sure.
Been independent developers. But there's so much hate from what we class as fanboys, just hating on things that aren't AAA. It's beyond me.
Yeah, it is definitely a bit shocking. But clowns, let's bring you into the conversation before we get to the grade, and then we're going to move on to the big topic of the evening and exactly what Dutch is talking about. And we're going to really get into the nitty gritty, if you will. For you, what wasn't there that you were hoping would be there?
This is tough because I think that. Trying to think real quick, because I think that everything that I really expected to see there was there. I don't think I was disappointed with anything. I mean, personally, to me, the showcase was excellent, and I already rated it like an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. The only thing that I could see as a disappointment, but I did not expect them to announce anything, was you seen something from like WB, like maybe an IP they would have picked up, but I felt that it probably would have been too soon anyway for them to announce anything, even if they did come to an agreement with AT&T and WB's division. And they told us they would not announce any studios at this event either. So
yeah, it was no business. It was just games, and more games, and they did that. Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't argue with that, dude. I mean, I said that outside of Ninja Gaiden, my second game that I didn't mention before was Banjo-Kazooie. Like, I really wanted them to show that they were working on it, to give us something. I thought that with Banjo-Kazooie going into Smash Brothers last year, that was the exclamation point that yes, the Nintendo crowd went freaking bananas. Yes, sir.
Real quick, something I did think about now that I am playing the images back in my mind is that when they showed Xbox Game Studios and all those little thumbnails, I don't know if other people picked up on this as well, but Battletoads was shown in those thumbnails. And we actually did not see anything about Battletoads on the showcase. So if there was one disappointment for me, it would be Battletoads, because I would have expected a smaller game like that to have been shown on this particular showcase.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad they didn't, because it just would have been another something
Fuel to the fire.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. But you know what? Let's move quickly to the grades. Obviously, Clowns, you said you gave it a B+. I gave it a B+. Wandering Dutch, for you personally, what was your review of the show?
Overall, I enjoyed it, to be honest. There was, like you say, a few little missteps throughout. that Hellblade thing pushed it down a little bit for me. The Halo thing didn't bother me at all, to be honest. I know if we have a look back through the kind of development cycle, not even just Halo, but Gears, if you have a look at that through even several months beforehand, it's when they show the trailers off, it's never polished.
Right.
When you get the release, it's always a contrast and difference. So that didn't bother me at all. The gameplay itself looked sharp, it looked quick, it looked terrific. So that doesn't bother me. The show in general, I scored out of 10 for myself, and I scored it just shy of an 8. It was like 7.8 out of 10. So I was pleased overall. I think there's a few things that could have been in there, a few things that shouldn't have been in there, but overall I was happy.
Okay, a strong score. Why don't we get to middle-aged gamer guy? What would you give? What would be your review of the show?
Okay, I'll give you my quick review before I give you the score, because it'll all tie into why I'm giving it the score I'm giving it. Now, I was very happy with the show, but I was not blown away. Now, allow me to explain for just a second. The reason for my silence was I now have, thanks to you and Noof Nukem, by the way, a small but dedicated following. So I didn't want my words to be misconstrued, misquoted, taken out of context, anything like that. And another thing I'm not going to do tonight is quote Randall Thor. But he did say something not that long ago that stuck with me. And he said, it's hard to get truly excited for a game trailer. When you watch a movie trailer, for example, what you're seeing is pretty much indicative of what you're going to get of the final product, right? So, when you sit down and see that movie, it's pretty much the same as the trailer. Your eyes, your brains, everything is stimulated when you're doing all that. But when you're playing a video game, your eyes, your brains, your hands, your thought process, decision-making skills are all stimulated. When you watch the Spider-Man trailer, you're watching someone else's vision. When you're playing the Spider-Man game, it's you. So this is where it all is going to tie in here. Video games are an interactive experience. So the only thing that really stuck with me, like I was watching the Halo gameplay trailer, I thought to myself, that's what I'm going to be doing. And therefore, I'm associating that experience directly with what you're going to be doing, which makes you more emotionally invested in the show. Now, that's why I was excited by what I saw, but with the exception of Halo, I didn't get overly emotionally invested too deeply, other than the fact that I'll eventually be playing all these games, and all of them on Game Pass. Now, here's the thing. I think that this show, this is going to sound really crazy, but I think that this show was not about the games. I really don't. And I mean, people are going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? It's a game showcase. I get you. But I actually believe that this is if you take a deeper dive into the psychology of what this show actually was, really sit down and listen to the message behind the show. I think that this show was all about Game Pass and the vision and the preparing you for the vision and the direction of the future of gaming. On those merits, in my mind, I'm giving the show an 8.5 out of 10.
Strong words and a strong pick for sure. Cybernox, why don't you give us your score, brother?
Yeah, so I thought overall the show was good, had really good pacing. There were a couple of missteps here and there, kind of like we mentioned earlier. There was a couple things that they showcased that could have been either on a pre-show or on an Inside Xbox, but overall I was really happy. I'm also on the same boat as Mag. I look at games and I don't let anyone else dictate what I like and I don't like. So you can talk shit about Halo all day, about Craig all day on Twitter. Hey, I'm excited for Halo. Let's see what they're gonna do. That was obviously a old build. It's no excuse, but there is an excuse, which is this pandemic that we're going through right now. Whether you like it or not, it is something that's affecting everything. But besides that, I thought they showed tons of surprises. I thought the start of the show wasn't even a game, kind of like middle-aged gamer alluded to. It was actually Game Pass. It was a service. Here's what we're offering you going to next generation. You can buy a Xbox Series X if you like, and you can enjoy all these games right here to its higher, performance and graphical fidelity. So I thought the show was extremely solid. I really enjoyed it. Like the trailers that we saw, kind of like I mentioned earlier, we've been asking asking Microsoft to show us what they have prepared for us in the future. Give us a little glimpse of hope of what we can expect, and they've done that. So we can't keep always asking for things, and when they give it to us, we as consumers, we move the goalposts. Oh, now it's because Halo the graphics of Halo doesn't look good, or it didn't showcase some type of way, They showed Fable, and now I hear people saying, "Oh, they only showed a CGI trailer." Well, sure, but what did you want? They're giving you everything that you want, so we can't be upset. I was extremely happy. I saw a bunch of games there that I want to try, and it's going to be on Game Pass. I'm a subscriber to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate till 2022. I'm good. You know what I mean? So, I gave the show a solid 8. I would have given either a 9 or possibly higher if there was a little bit more gameplay, and some of those filler things that we mentioned earlier weren't there. Maybe were substituted for other things. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed it. Solid 8.
Nice. Cotton, what about you, my brother? What would you score the Microsoft showcase event from Thursday?
Oh, man, personally, yeah, I loved Halo. I'm a huge fan of Halo. I like the showing. Always I'm greedy with Halo and want to see more. I know people are going to hate on the pop-in and all that, but I just want to get back into that world. Destiny, that was one of the biggest announcements by far for me. Like, one of the biggest announcements, I think, of the show, just considering the value in that alone to Game Pass. The fact that everything's in Game Pass. They showed off a lot of games. I know people... I always want more gameplay myself too, but you had a lot of gameplay with Halo. You had gameplay with the Medium. You had it with Crossfire X. You had it with PSO2 and New Genesis. There was a decent amount of gameplay, at least a lot more than they showed in their May showing. And there was some shockers in there. Avowed, easily the best game I'm most excited for that they showed off at this show for sure. Like a new Skyrim, can't wait for it. The show overall for me was definitely a solid 8. I mean, I always want more. You know, this community definitely is never full. There's always more that they could be shown, and we get greedy. But it was a huge step up, even just from the production alone. The production was top notch on this show. That's definitely 8 out of 10 for me.
Nice, strong. And why don't you close it out for us? Gaming Forte, for you personally, brother, what was your score for the Microsoft event?
So I was super excited when I first saw everything. I think a lot of me personally, when I first saw the show, I don't go into these shows, even being a content creator, going to the shows, trying to like nitpick every little thing I see at the beginning. So when I first saw it, 9 out of 10, that's what I gave it. When I first saw it, my excitement level was through the roof, 9 out of 10. After adjusting and pulling footage and everything like that, I ended up settling on an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Like I said, me personally, Destiny literally was the best thing they showed there because of the value that they're giving everybody, and that being the game that I love truly the most. And getting that was literally a point by itself. The only reason I didn't stay at the 9 out of 10 was just because of the disappointment that my favorite franchise outside of Destiny is Halo. Mm-hmm. And that Microsoft let it come out and be shown in the light that it was in. Even knowing it is an older build of the game, I just feel like the first time you show your game to the public like that, you definitely did make sure all those ducks are in a row. So it's still time for that to get fixed. But overall, the rest of the show was just freaking amazing. You can't go against the value that they're giving you in Game Pass. And I'm with everybody else here. Literally, this wasn't even about the games they were showing. This is just about the service that you're going to be able to subscribe to, that all these games are going to be a part of. And they're going to make sure there's always games in there for you every month. If it's not first party, there's going to be some big third party thing in there that you didn't even see coming. So this was a great start just in their messaging around Game Pass themselves. So I gave it a solid 8 out of 10. Definitely can't wait till they show the rest of their studios off.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I mean that, and you know what? Honestly, that was probably the standard score. Some people gave it a little bit more, like me. I gave it 8.5. There were some people that gave it a little bit lower at 7 and change. It was a good show. Wasn't a great show. They could have done some things better. There's no doubt about it. But listen, it is what it is. The show was done. I think they showed enough. I think one of the biggest complaints were with people was Microsoft doesn't show games too far into the future. Well, they showed quite a few of them that aren't coming out for at least the next 2 years at least. And we know that we're getting a lot of games, Avowed, Fable, you name it, it was there. But I want to move on to, I think, one of the bigger topics of tonight. And I think it's going to take up a large portion of the show. And as you can hear, the energy in my voice have just exploded because, look, for the most part, I just sat here, just posed the questions and let the panel run away with it. But now I got some talking to do. You know, when I present these programs, the ideology behind every one of them is to offer both the panel and the listeners some fun and thought-provoking conversation. That is my goal as a content creator, something I look forward to doing when I write these shows. And again, this one was a little bit smaller simply because, you know, everyone on the panel hadn't had a chance to talk with me personally about their views. I wanted to get that out of the way before we getting into the real weeds, so to speak. And unfortunately, you know, with every Xbox celebration or victory, the community reveals itself sometimes, and sometimes, more times than not, the worst of the worst concerning social media comes out. And besides the boo birds calling for Phil Spencer's job and not liking one game at the showcase, two major rumors jumped out and took center stage of the conversation. The big one, though, was how Halo Infinite was launching this fall without the entire multiplayer being shipped at the same time. Of course, this sent the community into a firestorm of drama, which was picked up by pretty much every publication that writes about video games. And though it's not really needed to be brought up in conversation, the importance of Halo multiplayer is paramount to the game's success. And thankfully, 343 Industries entered the arena and squashed the false narrative before it could spiral out of control. And thanks to Brian Jarrett, who is the Halo community director, he made a public statement on the matter that was both simple and direct. And he said this. I'm going to pull. Actually, we know what he said was this. Nothing to see here, folks. This is not true. Okay, easy peasy. He basically broke it down. But now I want to move on to, you know, why this continued to happen. And I really want to get into the good points and the bad points of what happened during the Halo reveal, because obviously there are a lot of people talking about it, and I want to attack this from both the positive and negative aspects, and I want to really get to the panel and hear what the chat has to say as we close in on close to 300 people watching. Here's the thing. This is an old build. They said it was an old build. But when you're like, and I'm going to go to Forte on this because he said it a few minutes ago, when you're going to show off the flagship franchise and you're going to have Poppin in your game, you can't have that. You cannot show your Halo Infinite running for the first time. Why don't you take it away, Gaming Forte?
Yeah, man. So that was disappointing. Like I said, when I first saw it, it was like I really wasn't paying attention like that. I was just looking at the gameplay, and I think
both of us, yeah.
And I think this is by far the closest 343 has gotten to that old Bungie magic of 30 seconds of fun with the way that the gameplay actually looked. Like I think the gameplay is where it needs to be. It was just everything else around the demo didn't live up to par. I just think overall, first for me, was I disappointed? I can't say I was truly disappointed because, like I said, I was excited seeing it the first time around. But just like anybody else, just like a regular content creator, just like Digital Foundry, when they go in and they zoom in at 300% and you get to see all the imperfections that they have in the demo, you know, this was just something that you can inherently see if you were paying attention. Like anybody could see it. So I just think for 343, everybody here knows how I feel about 343. I love Halo, but I always felt like 343 is that one bugaboo developer they got that just for some reason something's always happening. I do understand that, you know, C19 is a huge thing going on right now. I know a lot of stuff is happening with these people being at home. I even understand that this is a 6-month-old build. I understand all that. My whole thing is just like we talked about earlier when it came to Hellblade developer, Ninja Theory, if you're not going to show anything, don't show it at all. And in this case, I felt like Halo is a big enough franchise on itself that you could have had this whole show without even Halo being a part of it, and everybody would have loved it even more. Just because this wouldn't even be a story. Halo, you could literally just come out and say, yo, we're putting together a special demo for Halo for you guys. It's not going to be at this event. So we don't want
your event.
Yeah, we gonna get. We saw Sony do this with two of their biggest games. They did it with Last of Us, and they did it with Ghost of Tsushima. They had their own event, and everybody just tuned in for that one game. And you're talking about over millions and millions of people that did it for that. Yeah. So I just think Microsoft didn't do them any favors by letting this be out and put out there in the world. And then it's just a whole bunch of things that just seemed like they were tone deaf about the reveal itself. Like, how did this even get to the point where they were willing to show it to people? They were getting official screenshots of the game that looked like Xbox 360 screenshots of the game. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? So ultimately, it's something that a lot of people are a little upset at. But I will say this, though. It doesn't give people the right to go out and just be completely crappy and just talk all types of nonsense and basically want to tear other people's opinions down because they don't agree with their opinion. Like me personally, I didn't say anything on Twitter. I saw it and I kept quiet. I was like, let me go look and see, because news always comes out about this stuff over the course of the day, over the weekend. We got more news about it. If you would have just flew off the cuff and just took what you saw at that reveal and just said whatever you said, 90% of it ended up being completely crazy, because we did. First of all, this wasn't shown on the Xbox One, on the Series X. It was shown on the PC, which I don't get, because you're showing off games about the next system, but you're showing them on a high-end PC, and we don't know any of these games that's showing there now. I don't think the system's not a problem. I think the system is strong enough to do everything they wanted to do, but you need to start showing these games on that system, because it literally comes out in like less than 4 months at this point, if we're going off to believe what the timeline on these releases are. But people just taking one mess up and turning it into this giant Easter egg hunt of, oh, if this is bad, what do you think they're going to do with everything else? And like, they keep forgetting that Avowed was a great show. They showed something that a lot of people didn't expect to see there. We already know Obsidian is an amazing developer when it comes to RPGs. All you got to do is go back and look at Fallout New Vegas, probably one of the best Fallout games ever made. And they made it. So I don't have a problem with them, and all the other stuff they show. It just sucks that Halo just happened to be that one thing that everybody paid attention to. And it ended up bringing so much negativity to the show, and everybody just forgot about everything else. So I just always tell people, like I told, don't temper your expectations, because I felt like this is a show that Microsoft needed to prove to you that you should buy an Xbox. They didn't do that at all. They didn't tell you this isn't the show. They basically told you need to get Game Pass. That's what the show was. It was a show that says you don't have to have an Xbox Series X, but you need to have Game Pass. And they did that 100%. And I think that's what people are more upset at. But I also think there's a lot of people out there that don't even want to buy the system, and they're just literally talking just to talk. There's so many people. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like, you're not even thinking about the system. Was never something you was going to buy. So you're just going out and spinning a narrative that is only beneficial to what you want to say versus what Boom is saying. Like, yeah, the show had a lot to be desired, but I still liked it. Like Forte says, I liked the show, but it was a lot of stuff that I wish they would have did more of. That's pretty much the narrative I've been seeing from the people that actually have level-headed minds on this thing, that actually, take time to actually adjust in what's going on around them when it comes to these games. But that's too much for a lot of other people. And, honestly, that's what the mute button's for, because my Twitter timeline was pretty peaceful over the weekend because I wasn't about to listen to all these people complain about something that was going to get fixed. But I will say this. I do love, before I turn it over, I love that 343 literally had fun with it. That's the one thing I will give them. I mean, they had no choice but to have fun with it because the Craig memes were out there in force and they named it and they was like, hey, we're going to give them a backstory and everything. And I'll say, oh, that's pretty cool. But they need to fix this and they need to fix it in a hurry. And other than that, I truly believe this game, if it doesn't have a huge turnaround, because like I said, this is supposed to be a 6-month-old build. This game should be way further along next time we see it. If we are going to see this again in the next showcase that they're going to show it off, like the multiplayer reveal, because they're definitely going to do a multiplayer reveal, they need to delay this game. I don't want it to be delayed, but I'd rather them delay this game because Halo is everything to Microsoft. Forget everything else. Everything else is just a tentpole to Microsoft, especially when you're talking about giving it to people for free in Game Pass and having that open umbrella for everybody to jump into. And this hasn't even made it to PC yet. That's a huge thing for them. So they need to make sure this is right the first time and not leave anything unturned. And I hope they do it. And if they do, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, the Wandering Dutch, I want to bring you back into the conversation regarding this, but let me just catch up on some of the super chats. We have Alt dropping a $2 super chat and says, sending my support. Well, thank you for that, dude. Super appreciate it. Gamer by Choice says, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, one thing I see. People wanted Xbox to show all they had in one show, but I didn't see the same energy about Sony breaking their games into multiple shows. I mean, that's very true. Mm-hmm. Sir X-Man drops another $2 super chat and says, here we go with this chat. Hold on just a second. I apologize. Oh, for the love of Joe. He says, oh, man, I lost it. Eagles, I'm sorry about that, Sir X-Man. I apologize. I lost it in, it blinked out. So thank you for your $2 super chat, dude. Super appreciate that. We have Eagles fan 76 who drops an outstanding $2 super chat, says, love Halo, just wanted it to be with ray tracing. You're going to get it in the future for sure. They've already confirmed that. We have Y9 Power dropping a very generous $5 super chat. Says, the more I pick apart the Xbox showcase, the more I liked it. At least they do have games coming to Xbox. Sony had crappy E3s, and look what happened. Very true. Black Eye Dog, a very good friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, Avowed is set in Pillars of Eternity universe, so the lore is already there. It'll be fire. I absolutely agree. And we have Mariano Pampa dropping a very generous $5 super chat and says, hey, Boom, awesome panel today. One thing that disappointed me was some of the pre-show guests of Jeff. SMH, they needed people like this in the panel. Yeah, I've actually had people say that I should have been on there. I don't think I'm that big. I definitely think they could have been picked other people much more stout than me. But Wandering Dutch, obviously there are a lot of people that says this was a massive misstep for 343, and the pressure already on this team has to be something that we probably couldn't even take as human beings. They know they have to get it right. This, to a lot of people, was a bad showing. How, in your opinion, how does Microsoft, more specifically 343, bounce back from this? Do you think this is the August event that they show the actual current build running on a Series X?
Yeah, I think they will show a current build running on Series X. I think showing a 4-month-old build. This kind of, I think there's certain segments to that. Personally, part of it has to be to do with COVID. They've obviously recorded some part of the build a little while back that was potentially looking to show internally as opposed to externally. They didn't have anything ready updated to show, so they just went with that. Aside from that, we've seen reveal trailers anyway in the past, like I mentioned before, with both Gears and Halo, where it looks nowhere near the same upon release as it does in the initial reveal trailers. And if we look back in history, you have a look at the initial reveal trailers of both Halos and Gears franchise, they've looked pretty bad when it goes into the initial reveals.
Right.
I mean, in terms of concepts, they look good. And if you probably don't even remember it, but if you look back at how they were revealed, it was an entirely different ball game. It was nowhere near the same quality as what it was when it was released. There's a couple of things that people need to take into context, though. Not only is the game, everyone completely sidestepped the gameplay that was showing off and the improvements in gameplay and the additions to gameplay The new concept, which is that Halo's never been semi-open world like Gears has just went in the direction of. So they've got a few more implements that they've never done, including mechanics that they've never done, but also two things that weren't included that would have also drastically improved the overall image quality, even if you didn't include polish. That was HDR. HDR was not included.
Right.
At all, and HDR makes a huge difference in the overall color palette of that game. The depth of color, the depth of kind of the brightness of everything. And then ray tracing. Obviously, we know ray tracing is going to come, but HDR is one of the key things that you won't see on any stream. HDR cannot be live streamed. So you're never going to see what the difference is going to be. The overall polish of the game, it's going to come anyway. I've got no qualms with that. The misstep was the fact that internally they agreed to show off a game trailer that was probably not meant for those that are outside of Xbox at that particular stage. But I'm not concerned at all. I think it's, like you mentioned before, a lot of people are focusing far too much on a staple franchise, unfortunately, but that's just how it's going to be. That they overlook the rest of the positive outcomes from that conference. There were so many big games shown off. So many big new franchises, new IPs, and they just ignored it because of a little bit of an underpolished game that was shown off.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, again, this was the first time the world was going to see it, and we can all say, as someone who's looking forward to the game, as someone has been calling for this type of Halo to come. Where we're going to get an open world. You folks, you got to understand. They're saying that the game is as big as 4 and 5 combined. Just try and equate that to your gaming. Halo Infinite is going to be bigger than Halo 4 and 5 combined. You're going to literally be able to investigate almost the entire Halo ring. They brought up the map real quick, showing you different quests and different side missions you could do. I mean, listen, I'm excited about the game. Do I think the game is going to look like the Craig meme that everyone is running with at 360 Xbox 360 graphics? No, I think the game is going to have ray tracing. It's going to have HDR. It's going to have all the bells and whistles you could imagine, and it's going to look amazing. The problem is that what was that?
No, I was just going to go ahead and finish your thought. And
I was going to say that it's unfortunate that we saw it the way we saw it.
Right, and I'm gonna caution people now. I think what you saw isn't the final version of the game, but I do think it's going to be close to what you saw. Mm-hmm. But lighting does make a huge difference, because the one thing that threw me off is no shadows. Like, you're talking about sun beaming down on the side of a Halo, and no shadows on anything. What shadows, like, you'd be surprised how much lighting matters in a game. It just makes everything look flat when you don't have it, and you can't tell depth of field when you don't see it. And the fact that they came out and another developer came out and said this was that this game, people keep forgetting that this game was literally built for the Xbox One X and Xbox One.
Right.
They flipped the game over to the Slip Space engine halfway through development, and then they started developing for the Series X. So there's a chance that this game is going to kind of look in the same staple, because they came out and said they wanted to have that Halo CE, Halo 2, Halo 3 vibe. They wanted that look.
They definitely got the vibe. For sure.
They got the look and the vibe. So I think we're going to get that aesthetic, but we just got to get everything thrown on top of it when it comes to all the different textures and filters they're going to throw in the game. I don't think people look at Halo 4 and Halo 5, and I think they're beautiful looking games, but that's a completely different palette that they're using for those games versus what they're using for this one. So this is going to have its own appeal. I just think that people need to really think about they're literally taking a game that they were making for older systems and making it work on the newer one too. And I think people always thought Halo was going to be that next generation looking game when it was never built to be that next generation looking game. They're going completely bigger in the world. They're making the world stand out, not the way that it looks, but the size of the environments is what's going to stand out in this game. So it's going to be a chance that it's going to look like it is, but it's going to look significantly better once they add all the textures and stuff on top of everything you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. You know what? Middle-aged gamer guy, before I bring you into the conversation, Nightwolf 3186 drops a very generous additional $5 super chat, says, had to leave earlier, but I'm back now. Was curious if you touched on the August event, what it could look like. Have a feeling we're going to get more of than hardware. Yeah, and we're going to talk about that on Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast. That's going to be a big one. And it's actually the question I'm going to pose for you, Mag, is this. Black Eyed Dog, he dropped an outstanding additional $5 super chat, but it's his question that I want you to tackle. He says Halo was shown on a mid-range dev PC, which is a bit of a head scratcher, that was not built for showing games. Strange choice by Microsoft, more specifically 343, to show it off. I mean, listen, again, it's one of those instances that, look, when Microsoft gets the winning touchdown, I'm cheering for them. But when they muff the punt and they give the ball back to the team on our 40-yard line, that's what some of this felt like. And again, am I excited for Halo Infinite? 100%. Did I like the fact that it's open world? Yes, I've been asking for this for years, and they've delivered. But the question is, was this a mistake that 343 can come back from? Showing this off on a mid-range PC that's not really made. It's a dev kit. It's not made to show games. Why did they do this?
Well, seeing that this question just kind of popped up like that, honestly, the first thing that popped into my head was mid-range PC. Could it be that they were just trying to maybe test it out and say, hey, this could be the Lockhart power, and let's see what the fans say? Almost like a guinea pig situation. I don't know. This is coming out of nowhere here. I don't know.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think it would be Lockhart, because if you have a look at what's been claimed to be Lockhart so far, it's other than the GPU, it's got exactly the same architecture from top to bottom.
Right.
Apart from the GPU being slightly gimped, it's not really. I would say GPU power, the Lockhart's probably still quite on par with maybe a 2060, 2070.
Right.
Okay. So I don't think
that was just a shot in the dark. I'm just
if it's I've seen, obviously, I've been speaking to a few developers recently. Their mid-range PCs are just the same as our mid-range PCs. They're not like ultra powerful. Personally, I think it has to be something to do with unfortunately the global situation we're in. It has to be an earlier build that wasn't meant to be shown publicly, but they haven't had something updated to really push out.
What I don't understand, though, I mean, we're dealing with a company that's one of the richest companies in the world, regardless of the fact that they're doing this from home. This is what I was going to get into about this whole situation.
No, please, but go into your point, dude. Yeah, obviously you have a point ready to rock and roll. Go crazy.
No, it's all good. Now, all I was going to say is I was listening to everybody on the panel talking about it, and I was just going to say that they knew they were going to be scrutinized. Because let's face it, Xbox. They sneeze wrong and someone's writing articles about it, right? And so they knew they were going to get scrutinized. They also should have known that the boo birds were going to be waiting in the wings. Okay, just waiting, rubbing their hands together, waiting for any little thing. They should have known this. You're showing a 4 to 6 month old build. I mean, that's not the way you do it. Dutch did say something a couple of minutes ago, saying about giving players and the watchers the concept of the new experience. Now, that's wonderful. That is wonderful, because for us players, we're seeing what we're getting in the next installment. However, first impressions are everything.
Yeah.
And if you start spreading it out, and how they say, in other circles, I've heard people talk. They say, well, the hardcore is only 20%. Yes, that's true. However, if the hardcore who are watching this show are not impressed by this, they're going to tell their casual friends who are part of the 80% of the people who purchase software and hardware. So they have to impress from that small elite group and then spread out from there. Now, the other thing I was thinking about while the other gentlemen were talking here is that I think the reason that people are picking Halo apart so brutally, and of course, let's not forget, glaringly ignoring the rest of the show. You notice how nobody else talks about any of the other games in the show? No, it was just Halo.
Just Halo.
And then you've got the memes with the gorilla guy on the front of the cereal box and all the other nonsense that they were doing. Which, by the way, I got to say, they were pretty funny. So, but anyways, the point is, they're picking all that stuff apart because Microsoft has given very little, not zero, but very little reasons to hate on the Xbox since Phil walked out on that stage in December. They've given very little breathing room for trolls. So then when there's one tiny little button out of place, like the little kid that goes to the private school and he's got his top button done up and it's not done up right, and then they jump all over it, that's exactly what it was. Their top button of their shirt wasn't just done up right. And then they're like, boom. And so what it does is that when you give them very little breathing space, when you make one little slip up, everything seems more amplified as a result. You know what I'm saying? So now Forte also said something about Halo delay. I got to 100% disagree with you. That would be an absolute PR nightmare. Can you imagine coming off this show? People are making fun of Halo. People are making fun of this, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, a month from now, they're like, and Halo's delayed. Yes, there's a pandemic in this world. Absolutely. People need to understand that and have a little bit more consideration to what's going on in the global situation. But I'm sorry, you cannot do this.
Oh, no.
You cannot.
I agree with you 100% on that. I agree with you 100%. My thoughts was on them showing it in the first place. If they like you said, they knew they were going to get scrutinized by this. My whole thing is, how did you even let this be shown in the state that it's in?
That's what I'm saying.
And before you showed this, this right here basically tells me this game should be delayed by what we see. Now, we don't know what the back end looks like because we don't know what the actual updated build looks like, and maybe Microsoft does. But first impressions are everything, and all we got is to go off of what they showed us. And what they showed us looks like this game isn't going to be ready for launch. So I agree with you. It is way too late now. They cannot delay this game now.
You can't do anything. Now, the only possible... Yeah, but the only possible thing I can think of that they could possibly use as an angle is wait to see. I know it's just crazy because they've both been doing the staring contest for months. Wait to see what Sony does. Sony hasn't announced, obviously, when their console is being released. I mean, we have an idea. They haven't announced what games. I mean, well, they have, but I mean, we don't exactly know when anything is actually coming. They just showed you the games, gave you the titles. They said fall or whatever, 2020. Great. Maybe try to see, and you never know what's going on behind Sony's doors because Sony doesn't talk too much. And that sometimes is a wise thing. I mean, I understand my personal feeling. I prefer how Xbox has a lot more transparency in what they're doing. So the customers know exactly what's going on. But sometimes that works as a deficit against you. That works against you sometimes. Whereas Sony keeps their mouths shut. So maybe they have to see what's going on with Sony right now and maybe balance it out from there. Because if Microsoft has having a problem because of the world pandemic or, and not being able to communicate effectively in studio with all the devs, with all the producers, with the studio heads and everybody else, if you're not able to do that effectively, then perhaps Sony might be having the exact same problem.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
You see what I'm saying?
But you see, you really did touch on something that's extremely interesting. Sony has really been keeping their cards close to the vest, and we have no idea. Listen, I'll say this right now publicly: if you're expecting, a year of dreams from 2015 in their August show, you're sadly mistaken. That's not going to happen. They just. No one is working, especially more so than Sony. And again, no one's talking about this. And why no one's talking about this? Because you just touched on it. Sony isn't saying anything. One of Sony's biggest ways that they tell stories through their games is through motion capture. We know for a fact that is not going on anywhere, not in the video game industry, not in Hollywood, nowhere is that going on. So then you're not, I mean, if they show something God of War 2, which I would love, because that was one of my favorite games from 2018, I would be unbelievably surprised, but I don't think you're going to get anything like that. You may get a trailer. I mean, you may get a flash screen of a title, God of War, whatever, whatever they're going to call it, and maybe a few others. I don't think you're going to get a full-on trailer. This again, not making excuses for anyone, but the pandemic has really halted everything
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, that's a great point, dude.
See, that's what I'm saying is that if it has halted everything, it certainly has halted everything to one degree or another. But the fact that Sony is not speaking about it, at first, it came across to me as, well, you know, they're being sort of shisty, and who knows what they're up to. They're like the used car salesman right now, you know, with the gold tooth and the fake toupee. I'm not really trusting them. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I really sat back over the last month, and I said, maybe it was wise to keep their mouths shut, because they're waiting to see what's going to happen out there. So they're kind of sitting on the sidelines, kind of looking side to side, saying, all right, let's see what everybody else is doing. You know, and Microsoft goes out there, they open their books and go, ta-da, here we are. And then all of a sudden, things don't pan out. You know, that's the risk of doing that. The risk of exposure, or the risk of transparency, excuse me. The risk of transparency is exposure of the negative. And that's something that, yes, I guess they were willing to take that risk, whereas other companies are not willing to take that risk. So I don't know where this is going. You know,
See,
right now.
I think I've got to agree with you in part, but Microsoft have also, even though before the show there was a lot of people coming out, don't temper expectations, and they don't need to hold anything back. They shouldn't hold anything back. But then Microsoft come out and initially said straight away, you will only see 9 of the 15 studios, because these aren't even in varying stages of development. Now, you mentioned a good point there with mocap, actually, Boom. Ninja Theory is big on mocap, massive on mocap. So that really points to me as to exactly what's happened there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is really where the reason why we don't have anything, and it was a vid doc more than it was an actual game trailer, because their entire development is based on a mocap, and if they can't do it, they can't give us anything to watch. So I, like you were saying earlier, Dutch, they should have just pulled it. Should have just not been there and been dropped in maybe an Xbox Wire article or something like, hey, listen, here's a new video of Ninja Theory. We can give you some behind the scenes of our scouting, and and get people excited that way. Not certainly for the show. Real quick, Sir X-Man drops another $2 super chat. Says, tell me why is a mature game that I've wanted from Xbox. Yeah, that's going to be a good game. I'm excited for that personally. Cotton. Obviously the big story here is the pop-in. The big story is the Xbox 360-ish looking graphics when they brought the camera real close to, of course, who's now Craig the Brute. I mean, how does a 343 remedy this? I mean, do they come back in August and show this game running on a Series X? Do they have to do this?
Oh. I mean, personally, I'm a fan. I can take a good meme. Craig's doing anything from running around saying "hold my beer" to making me wish that we had a brute force successor in the works. I mean, but yeah, I think they need to come out and show something that is not close to 4 months old, something that's running on the Series X. It's a little disappointing that ray tracing is going to come at a later date, but I mean, it's still going to come, which a lot of other games won't be able to say that, especially something that's been in development for so long. I mean, besides, I know they're doing that with a bunch of back compat games, so that's cool. But I don't know, they're running with this one. I scratch my head a little bit when people say it looks worse than Halo 5, looks worse than Halo 3, a downgrade. I'm like, I don't see that. I think the art style is a great mix of like Combat Evolved in Halo 3, and it looks amazing. People aren't talking about the frames. They're just like, oh, there's pop-in. I mean, there's literally pop-in on every game I play still. Like on my PS4 Pro to my Xbox One X, like I see pop-in all the time on all games. So, I mean, I get it. It was significant, I guess, but if they came out and said, right, it was running on a minimum spec PC pretty much. It wasn't smart the way they did it, the way they went about it. And obviously people are saying, oh, Xbox fans were saying, don't temper your expectations. Now they're running around damage controlling, and like the pandemic is not damage control, sadly enough. It's a huge factor.
It's the reality is what it is.
Yeah. They've stepped it up huge, because that was a huge criticism from the May show with the webcams and all these things. The production of this show was insane. The fact that the Halo YouTube channel came out and put a slice of this gameplay when you had a little bit more diverse content in there, as far as like the weapons, you had the energy sword, you had the battle rifle in there, it looked significantly better. And I'm sure that that is a newer build of the game, just based off looking at them side by side for the most part. I don't know. I think they're going to come out and make people kind of take back what they're saying a little bit. The fact that people are freezing frames of a close-up melee that is happening within split seconds of these 60 frames, and you're getting that, and who knows what kind of, like, how downgraded that screenshot is. I just don't take any of that stuff seriously. The game looked great. The pop-in is what it is. It's a demo, so I mean, you take that with a grain of salt. I do, at least. I know people are talking about the game being delayed. I don't know if that's what we're talking about later or not, or about it. Maybe even people were saying that it wasn't going to come with multiplayer.
At least 343 got in front of that and squashed it. That they needed to do that. Yeah,
they did that immediately because people were scared of that. Which at the same time, I'm one of those people who is like, I'm hardcore into Halo multiplayer. Like, once I get into the multiplayer, I don't really set it down. I'm playing it until something can grab my attention, which I don't know what will. Maybe it'll be Beyond Light eventually, or something else that Destiny can bring me into. Halo's going to have me. And the fact that this game is like an open world style Halo, I was already like, oh, what am I going to do? Like, I want to run through the campaign on Legendary. I want to do everything. I'm a completionist. I want to knock out everything that's on the map, get all the single player achievements, find these skulls if they're around, zip around with the grapple hook and get into these places. I want to do all that like immediately. I want to digest all the single player content as fast as I can. That's just how I do it. And then I want to be full force ahead into multiplayer. So I was like, okay, I was on the fence. It's like, Halo without multiplayer, all this has been squashed. If for some reason that was what was going to happen, I was like, at least you'll have a chance to be fully invested. Everyone will, into this world, this new world they're building, which is the size of Halo 4 and 5, which that is significant. That's huge. I was on board. I was like, if they need to do some fine tunes, I know people were calling for it to be delayed. If they want to delay the game, I don't think obviously it's going to happen. I was like, all right, we can give this a kind of a GTA 5 sort of feel of like, give me the single player, let me do everything in that and see everything it has to offer, and then let me go full force into multiplayer. I think they're definitely going to show off. That's obviously not the case. I was just kind of giving my view on that. I was all right with that, just because this campaign is so huge. I can't blow through it fast enough and not fall behind in the multiplayer. But I think they're definitely going to impress people when they show what the finished product is. There's no way that people won't be. I mean, looks like evolved Halo, which what can I ask for more?
Yeah,
I agree. I don't want a completely new original take on Halo. I want Halo at a new evolved form, and I want 343 to do their little spins on it and be creative with it. No one wants creators to be completely held back, right? And I think that's what they're doing. There's a lot of gameplay elements in this that we've only seen such a little bit in this vertical slice that they gave us. There was a bunch of new weapons. There was new elements. He throws out that almost deployable shield. They have the grapple hook, and then I'm excited for this game, man. I think it's going to look a lot better when it comes out, obviously, and people have to take that into consideration, that this build and that demo could have been recorded and put together way before, while they were still editing the show together, and that's why they showed off this build that they did. Why didn't they go back and record a newer build of it? Why did they choose to show it off this way? Is beyond me. Was it smart? No. Should they have expected this? I think they did, but I think they know that it's going to be better. So they're not actually too worried about it. The last word is the most important when it comes to this game before it comes out.
Yeah, no, real strong opinion. Cybernox, why don't you take hold of these Halo reins, so to speak, and give us your opinion on it. I mean, was this a cluster for 343? Can they recover from this?
I'm sure they can recover. I don't have mixed feelings. I enjoyed watching that Halo demo. I was just I was personally expecting maybe a little more. There was nothing in that demo that said, "Hey, this is a $500 million allegedly new engine that we've been building here for the past few years that we're demonstrating the power of the Series X." That's what and I think actually Forte mentioned this a few months ago. And when the games when they announced the July showcase, Forte mentioned, "So you're telling me that they're gonna do the showcase right after The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima?" And like two beautiful looking games. And I think that's where people are taking that comparison from. Here's PlayStation's one, a new IP, and one of their flagship games, which are graphically beautiful, completely totally different games, but that doesn't mean anything for a casual or hardcore person. You can look at both of these games and you can tell that one is graphically more appealing than the other, let's say, or that's subjective, right? One can like the art style from Halo and one can like the realism from The Last of Us, let's say. But yeah, I think they definitely can redeem themselves. I think personally 343 just they're not sure what they wanted to do with the Halo franchise. In my opinion, it feels like they're going way back to the beginning. Even the way that demo started off, it started off not exactly, but very close to how Combat Evolved started. Your ship crashes, you come down, and then you fight. Here comes an overhead ship. So honestly, like they said, there's no excuse for them for showing that demo the way it was. Did it get me excited for Halo? Absolutely. I did like what I saw. Graphically, though, I even mentioned this to Cotton, Tempest, and Winter Maiden when we were all talking about it. I like when you're in control, that first person camera. I like that graphic look good. For some reason, during the cutscenes, that graphic with Chief and the pilot, which I don't know if we even got a name for him yet, that cutscene to me just looked a little, I think Forte mentioned it looked a little flat to me. Nothing to me was popping. The suit of armor, Chief's suit was good. Chief's graphical fidelity was okay. It was pretty good. But the pilot himself, he just looked, I don't know, it didn't look good to me.
Yeah, it was just kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, it was a little bit underwhelming. So, even when they're flying in, when they're coming in the ship, you can see that. I don't know. There wasn't a lot of detail. I don't know if it was me or if it was
no,
else.
It wasn't you. But I think that's where I touched on earlier on. We've been so spoiled recently with the fact that all of our games have had HDR implemented, and we've got kind of so used to HDR.
Yeah.
The reason it looks so flat is because that color palette's being just. Whoop.
Yeah. Washed there, and I can totally see how if you played Halo 5, if you played Halo 5 after the Xbox One X enhancement, that game looks absolutely incredible. So I can totally see how people were like, hey, Halo 5 looks better than what they showed us, but yeah, man, I really think they can turn it around. Obviously, they'll hopefully have a little bit more time. The multiplayer aspect, I think it's going to be tough for them to show us, just because they, in my personal opinion, I would love for them to go on a somewhat Destiny route after the campaign. They open up the Halo ring, and you are your own Spartan, and you go exploring. You're not the chief. You're your own character. So I don't know how they show that or surprise us with that, if that's the direction that they're going. But yeah, I mean, Halo is a $1 billion franchise, and I know Microsoft, even though they got in front of this meme with Craig and everything else, they're not just getting bombarded from the fan or some of the fans, right? They're getting mixed message also from the media. The media seems to have completely gone the same route as the fan base that did not like the showcase or didn't like Halo. All you see is the memes. You see even Domino's Pizza, they freaking did a meme
Yeah.
on against Xbox. So they can get in front of it all they want, but I'm sure they're probably like, this is not the feedback that we wanted, But yeah, man, I don't know what 343 can do. They gotta show us the polished game to its highest fidelity. Let's say that this console releases in November, and let's say Halo also releases in November. It's only a few months away. They need to wow us now. They need to get us hype. And Mag mentioned this, and I think we mentioned this here on the podcast too. What drives what drives a lot of the casuals are the hardcore gamers.
Yeah.
Depending on how a hardcore gamer feels about a game, that will spread like wildfire across the casual market. You know what I mean? Look at what happened with Ghost of Tsushima. Everybody loves it. That game is doing phenomenal. Even The Last of Us 2, it's, whether you like it or not, that game sold bonkers, and everybody had either good or bad things to say, but a lot of the hardcore still liked it. But Xbox and this Halo franchise need to get it right. Halo Infinite, because of their new engine, supposedly $500 million engine. This is a long-term plan, and if they don't get it right now, it's going to be a tough 10 years for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Good. And closing out tonight's show, Clowns, why don't we bring it up to you? Where did 343 go wrong, and can they course correct this?
I don't know if I would say that they actually went wrong. I think that maybe there's a lot of factors that go into this, right? I don't remember who said this on the panel earlier, but it could be that they were trying to show, basically maybe what Lockhart could deliver. It's a possibility. Or, maybe working from home and all this stuff going on, it's a lot harder to process all these videos. I mean, somebody had to put it together, right? So there's probably a lot of people working from home, sending files back and forth, and maybe they wanted to get the Halo fans excited and show what they got, even if it's not finally rendered or finally upscaled. And if it does release like this, you know what? I'm sure there'll be patches later on that will up-res this anyway. I don't think it's like a major concern that people are making it out to be. It's more of like, let's wait and see what actually happens, because things change as they actually get released, and we have no idea what the patches are going to look like, or if there's going to be a day one patch right away, and we have no idea what's going to be up-res, what's going to change. So everybody getting mad right now doesn't really say much because they don't know the future.
Now, I will disagree with you on one thing. I'm not with the people that's going out and trying to tell people to feel how they like, try to take their opinion and say, oh, you should feel like I feel, you should be outraged. If it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you. But for me, and I know a lot of other people, it really isn't the fact that we know patches can come and stuff later, but this is the same thing I say about, performance versus graphical fidelity. I will always choose 60 frames per second over everything. And when people say certain games shouldn't have it, they say, oh, all games don't need to be 60 frames per second. Some, like turn-based games, can be 30 frames per second. And I'm like, yeah, that's true, but I want to set a standard. The standard is everything should be 60 frames per second next generation. And my whole thing around Halo is, if you're going to show it, and you're going to put it in, you want it to be in the best light. And when people don't see that, they have a right to be a little bit unnerved by the situation, especially when the developers and when you got Phil Spencer coming out and you got Aaron Greenberg up there bloviating about the time for saying, Xbox is going to be the most powerful system we ever created. They're making a statement saying that, hey, tune into this show because your mind is going to be blown. And this is after, Phil Spencer came out after the after Sony did their reveal with Ghost of Tsushima, and they did their reveal, and he said, I'm super excited for what we're showing. You know, I feel like we're in a great place when it comes to our games, and I think people are going to be surprised by the things we saw. Well, it's just like Assassin's Creed was during the May event. Nobody really held the May event like to a super high standard when it came to what they showed. It was like most people were upset because they said the word gameplay in a press release saying we're going to see Series X gameplay for the first time. Did we see some of that? Yes, we saw Bright Memory, we saw some other games, we saw a little bit of the Median. But what was the reason people showed up to that show? Assassin's Creed. And what did Assassin's Creed give us? A freaking cutscene that was literally pre-rendered, and like Randall Thor said, I don't want to watch a cutscene to get excited about. That doesn't excite me. So when Halo comes out and you're going off of what these developers and what Phil Spencer said, and trust me, I love what Phil Spencer says. He's literally out there trying to get people excited for a product, and that's his job to do. And I believe that he's going to deliver on that front in the end. But you can't go out and say powerful system, you're going to be blown away. But then the one thing that everybody was going to see, which was Halo, and you come back being a little disappointed. So I don't agree with the people that come down on you saying, well, you should believe you should be outraged like I'm outraged. That shouldn't be happening. But if you're upset because they disappointed you in the game that you wanted to show, because let's be for real, Halo did not look next gen in that reveal. That looked like something that we can literally play on our Xbox One and our Xbox One X. You know, I even think Xbox One X can make it look better than that if they basically just concentrated just on that one system. So that's why people are upset. But I'll never tell somebody how they should feel in that regard, because ultimately everybody's different, and that's just the way it's going to be when it comes to all these consoles and stuff.
No, yeah, but do you think that they will actually release a patch that will up-res it though?
But we don't. But that's another thing though. That's the biggest thing. Like I said about the 60 frames per second, it needs to be a standard. If you're going to do it, it shouldn't be a patch. We don't need to be going through another generation where everything's going to be patched later on. Let it be right the first time. Yeah. I understand that it's like, listen, games of a service have literally taken over this whole generation. And the stigma of games of a service is you're going to get the game. There's going to be things you're not going to like about it. They're going to fix it later. Trust me, I play Destiny every freaking day. And it seems like they're always fixing something in that game that's always broken. Sometimes quickly, a lot of times it takes like 6 months to get it fixed. Do you really want that in the next Halo game? Because ultimately what they're doing is they're telling you right now, one of the main flagship features in the X is ray tracing. Not going to be there at launch. Yeah. Why is that not going to? That's literally one of the main reasons you're buying the system. That's like you telling me that, it's only going to be 30 frames at launch and we're going to patch in 60 frames per second, like a 60 frames per second mode later on. Huh? That don't need to be happening. So we need to get away from this whole, they're going to patch it later. And I get it, but they need to stop doing that. And we can't support that. And if we keep saying, they'll patch it later, they're going to think that's okay. So that's why I don't agree with that. We got to literally set a tone and stick to that tone as a community, because if you keep doing it, they're going to keep taking advantage of you like that.
Wow. Listen, folks, I what I want to do is it's 3:00 in the morning where Wandering Dutch is. So I'm
sorry, Dutch.
I want to get everybody. I want to get everybody out of here. This has been a strong 2 hours. I saw people in the chat wondering how I don't feel. You don't hear the emotion in me, folks. I've been under the weather for 3 days, and I was going to cancel this show, and I already had everything lined up, and I'm like, you know what? I can't disappoint the people. I am dragging. I really am, and you can hear it in my voice, but. As we get everyone out of here, Black Eye Dog drops a $5 super chat. Says Colt Eastwood put out a video of the Halo demo with the dynamic lighting turned on, and it was a big improvement. Yeah, I mean, if he can do that, and obviously Colt is extremely talented, it's going to look much better. But I agree with everyone's opinion, especially what Forte just had to say. Gamer by Choice drops a $2 super chat. Says Xbox needs better quality control, and I like Xbox. And just, there you go, folks. This is a fan saying that. But Wandering Dutch, first of all, dude, thanks so much for spending 2 hours with us. Sorry this wasn't the rocking show that I anticipated it to be, but do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
Yeah, certainly. So I'm a Wandering Dutch on Twitter. Same again on YouTube, Wandering Dutch. Recently did a interview with the developer for one of the ID at Xbox games that was showing off at the conference called Song of Iron, which was the Viking game that you've seen there in the sizzle reel.
Yes.
A lot more information coming out about that game, and quite a lot of information from a very good and very talented developer, who turns out actually worked partly on Halo 5. Which is part of the information I found out beforehand and
interesting.
during the show. So he's got a lot of insight into the development process of both as being a solo developer as well as AAA development. So he kind of gives us a little bit more insight into that. So it was a good interview, and I definitely recommend having a look at it. But other than that, just another podcast again on Wednesday, my own podcast on my YouTube channel.
Nice.
As well as being on Wilmy Woods later on again for another late one at midnight on midnight over here, and I think it's 7 p.m. over your time. So that's Wednesday night. Other than that, Wandering Dutch on both.
Well, thanks for being here, dude. Super appreciate it. And sorry about the times. Unfortunately, our times are so off, and you're gonna do Wilmy's on top of doing your own, so you're gonna be busy on Wednesday. And Wilmy's a good dude, good friend of the show. His podcast is great. Cracking beers, cracking jokes, and talking about video games. Good combination all around. Let's get the remainder of the panel. First of all, middle-aged gaming guy. Congratulations on becoming a panel member. Super appreciate you could be here every week. I can guarantee you that next week will be much better than this week. But you always bring it 100. You brought it last week. You brought it this week. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media and what else you have going on.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Middle-Aged Game Guy. That's with a GY. If you can't find it, I'm sure it'll be in the show notes below.
It certainly will, yes.
All right. You could follow me on Xbox, all capital letters. That is DEDMEAT1. I am Dead Meat 1. And I just reactivated a new Sony account for my PS5, changed the name and everything. My new name will be I Am the Mag.
Oh, nice. I do like that.
I was so excited when I saw it wasn't taken. Yeah.
Well, listen, dude, thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you next week, definitely, for sure. Obviously, we're gonna put one together for the ages next Monday evening. Gaming Forte, you, my friend, have been busy. You've been keeping it 100 on your own channel, but also appearing on several others. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it, man. It's always great to be here. Like I said, Mondays is the start of the week, and we always started out with a bang. It's always cool. But you can check me out, Gaming Forte on YouTube. Gaming Forte, as my daughter's talking in the background because she's saying get off the computer so I can play a game. She's playing. Hey, check out that Rogue company.
Rogue company.
Oh my God,
dude,
so good. So good. It's on every platform too. If you buy it on Steam right now, if you're on PC, you get it for $5. Gonna give you a $10 coupon for free. So Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube and Twitter. Also check us out on the Basement Radio Podcast, Slumbo Backslap, E-Money, Eric Jackson, and Mr. Brap himself. That's 9 o'clock on Wednesdays. Primetime Gaming, Friday nights, 7 p.m. with Mooch. The lovely Ashen Luca, not on there every week, but when I am, it's amazing. And I love being on there with her because she gave me my shot in this community. So I will always shout out her channel. And man, my man Slow Mo putting out crazy videos. That's my partner in the YouTube world. That's my partner right there. Go check out his content, man. That man does a lot of good work. Let's get him to 1,000 subs, man, because that man definitely deserves it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, outside of that, man, everybody have a great week. I will see you guys gaming, and let's have a very productive week as we do it.
Yes, absolutely. And real quick, Clowns, before I get to you, my brother, Viper XT, a very generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $10 super chat. Says, just got here. We'll have to listen to the stream later. Feel better. Boom. Yeah, thanks, dude. Super appreciate that. Clowns, do me a favor, dude. You obviously, besides being a pirate legend, besides running 4 Guys with Quarters, you are also one of the community's finest. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, potentially be given a calzone, and also check out your outstanding YouTube channel.
Oh, thanks, Boom. Well, the YouTube channel is 4 Guys with Quarters on YouTube. You can follow us at 4GWQ Podcast on Twitter. Mine is Italian clowns almost across everything. I've been putting out some videos lately, some tweets that have gone pretty much viral. And I love to interact with the gaming community in general, man. And you know what? You leave some positive comments, maybe a calzone will find its way to you.
I love it. I love it. And last but not least, our resident Cape Crusader. Hey, Cybernox, thanks so much for spending 2 hours with us. Really appreciate the energy that you bring to each and every show. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can check out your outstanding YouTube channel, which you've been dropping massive content for, and also follow you on social media.
I appreciate that, Boom Blade. Learning from you. That's all I've been doing. Learning from the man.
Oh, thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. And make sure, chat, you guys were phenomenal. Dutch, it was a pleasure, bro. Podcasting with you for the first time. Hopefully it will not be the last. The panel here, you guys are always amazing. Chat, make sure you go and subscribe and follow everyone here. Yeah, I'm Cybernox, Xbox, PlayStation, but I'm barely on there. PC. On YouTube, Cybernox everywhere. I'm mostly more active on Twitter. If you don't, if you're down a game or anything like that, just hit me up on Xbox. I'm always down to play any types of games. So yeah, appreciate it.
Oh. Well, thanks so much for being here, dude. Of course, this has been a great show. And obviously, we're going to be back next week at the same bat channel and the same bat time. You like that, Cybernox? I threw that in there for you. How you like that? The old 60s Batman. Anyway, folks, listen, this has been a great show. Hopefully, you found it enjoyable. Sorry that Boom wasn't there with his loud, obnoxious voice that's normally there, but I'm pushing through, and I just did not want to cancel the show. But folks,
Boom,
listen,
I think you just gotta get Cotton.
Oh, Cotton, I didn't get you on the way out.
Diocho.
Holy matrimony! Yeah, there you see, the podcast skills are failing. First of all, thanks so much for being here, Cotton. Obviously, you were a late addition, and I appreciate you jumping in. Do me a favor, dude. Tell everyone where they can potentially follow you on Twitter, and also play with you on other forms of video games. I know that you're on going to be playing Halo, and where else can people find you, brother?
Appreciate it, dude. And hats off to you sticking around, even though you're feeling under the weather, as well as you, Dutch, hanging out with us till 3 a.m. Always cool to meet some more dudes who like to talk some games. That's goes the same for you, clowns, middle-aged game guy. Good to talk with you again, Game Forte. Shout out to the chat. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. It's Cotton McCast. Got the same PSN, although I probably won't be on there again for another couple years until they drop another AAA game worth my time playing on there. Until then, you can also hit me up on Xbox Live. My gamer tag is Terry Fold. That's one word. And feel free to hit me up on Twitter too. DM me if you want to talk some games.
Nice. And
Thanks again for having me on, man.
Platinumed Ghost of Tsushima, right?
Oh yeah, I tore through it. I platinumed it. I think I played it. I was done with it by Monday.
Wow.
Friday.
That's dedication. Holy matrimony. I can't stop doing the side quests. But listen, thanks so much for being here, and thanks for jumping in at the last minute. Definitely appreciate that. Listen, folks, everyone, I want to thank the chat. We had over 300 here, or close to 300. A little low for today, but just like the energy that I put out, listen, folks, it's just I just didn't have it in me to really push the advertising. I've been dragging for days, just haven't said anything. And I want to thank everyone that tuned in. Thank you so much for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. I also want to say a big shout out to everyone that dropped super chats. If I missed it, man, I really apologize. And I know I missed one or two, and I will DM you privately to thank you. And everyone, just enjoy the rest of your hot week. I don't know where you are, but here in New York, it is going to be a scorching 5 days of just gross heat. And stay cool, stay hydrated. And I'll close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully it is important to you. My dad used to teach me a lot of things, but two stuck with me through my entire life and through my professional career before being a podcaster, and that was treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.